My name's Casey Stangl, and I'm Associate Artistic Director for the Ojai Playwrights Conference, and I am lucky enough to be directing this play, Antigones by Anna Ziegler. And Anna, it's striking me that we've talked a lot over the last couple of months, but we usually talk on the phone. We don't normally do Zoom.
That's true. Now we are in each other's faces.
That's right. That's right. Seeing each other's backgrounds. So Anna, I guess let's start off maybe by, so this play is called Antigones, plural, with an S at the end. And I remember emailing you early on and going, do I have it right? That it's got an S at the end, that it's plural? And you were like, yep. So maybe do you want to just start out by giving us a sense of, kind of what your inspiration was for the play and what you're looking at with it?
Yeah, sure. And you're right. It will forever be a play that people think has a typo in the title. So it already has that going for it. I had never encountered Antigone, the Sophocles play, until a couple of years ago. And my introduction to it was actually through Jean Anouilh's adaptation of Antigone, and which is, it's just a beautiful, beautiful play, and I think really pushes the form, and I don't know, it's a good template for kind of moving past the original.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember reading it in college and being like, wait, this is the same play that I read a year ago that seemed so stuffy and.
Yeah, I mean, going back to read, the original after that was interesting, but I certainly, I thought Ennui put so much about, the way people were living now in his adaptation. And so I guess I started out, kind of wanting to do the same, but it didn't occur to me until a couple drafts in that I would stray so far from the original story. And so in this version of Antigone, it is not a play about Antigone protecting and defending the body of her brother from her uncle Creon. It is about Antigone fighting for the rights of her own body. And what always struck me, or what struck me most about the play, the first time I read it, not my play, the Ennui and the original, is the dialectic between Creon and Antigone at the middle of it. And it just seemed like, God, this is ripe for a discussion of reproductive rights. Like, why not? Let's have a debate that talks to us now. So that is what I've tried to do at the center of this play.
Absolutely. And of course, that has always been relevant. But of course, now with the recent death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and, the Supreme Court seat up for grabs, it suddenly feels
more relevant than ever. Yeah.
More relevant. We had some great discussion after our first read of it in our quote phase one part of the Foundry Project. Where do you want to maybe talk about like a piece of feedback that you got from Bill that talked about the reframing of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think something Bill Kane said was really resonant for me and for Casey, that what he felt the play was trying to do was to kind of reframe the Antigone story and make it her story, and that, if it succeeds, it is about her body. So Bill saying that was very clarifying, and I felt like, yes, that's what I want to do. So I think in this next draft, work to make that a little clearer without being too clear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's, I suppose not to spoiler alert, but in the very beginning of the play, there's a wonderful line you've added about that the old play, but the original Antigone actually isn't a story about Antigone. It's not her play, and that your play is. And I love the claiming of that and the kind of staking the ground. So that sort of is a good segue. So just, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of where you are in the process? Maybe, we've been through both a phase one as part of the Foundry, and we've also been through our phase two. And maybe can you just talk about a little bit about that? Like,
well, the Foundry project, first of all, has just been incredible. And I've been so grateful to have it in my life these last 2 months, 3 months. I don't know. Time is confusing these days,
right.
But it has, given me real focus during that time period. And obviously a lot of that is due to you, Casey, and being so receptive and like reading drafts and pages so quickly and giving me amazing feedback. But it was
probably my most fun thing to do. The thing that gives me the most joy in this life is reading cool plays and like digging in and getting underneath and having a collaborator like you. You're so open and so receptive and so interested in dialogue. It's been just nothing but a joy. So thank you.
No, it's been really, really fun to work together on it. So, I mean, I would say we've logged many hours in between each phase. Before phase 1, I did a rewrite. And then I think certainly before phase 2, I did a rewrite, and Casey and I went back and forth with that draft a number of times and then shared it with our sort of smaller dramaturgical team, and they weighed in on it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's growing a lot. And the project has, sort of like kicked my butt into gear to make that happen, which I'm very grateful for. Antigone is not the only main character. There's another woman who lives in the present day, who is the narrator of the play. And so the space she takes in the play has kind of shifted, I would say, around phase 2. And
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, significant. I mean, I would say it's gotten, in a way, again, sort of just clearer, or the space that she's taking up is, I guess just clearer and therefore I think has even more depth. Right. Yeah.
Right. So we've really been figuring out how to, kind of meld Antigone's story with this woman now, and so that's kind of been the work of the last phase. And we did a reading last week, and that was really useful to hear it out loud.
Yeah, it was interesting to get the kind of the feedback that we got after the first phase was, I would say, complimentary, but a little general, maybe a little like, oh, there's such beautiful poetry and it's so cool. But then after the phase 2, I feel like you got such specific feedback about, the narrative spine of the play and where it was headed and the, reversals and et cetera, et cetera. So that was exciting to feel like the work was eliciting a more specific response.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, even after that phase 2 reading, now you're toying around a little bit with the ending, with the last, like, what?
The last 10 pages,
10
maybe?
pages?
Yeah. And I'm sure I'll toy, with all of it too. But yes, I think for our next stage, we will try a little restructuring of the end to make sure that it, has the kind of emotional punch we want it to have, and enough velocity to keep it going, so it doesn't feel like it's ended before it's ended.
Right.
That's always a hard thing with plays.
Yeah, it is. It is. So Anna, how has this process, I mean, you've done a number of new play development processes. We met, in fact, doing like a week long, maybe not even a week, like a weekend.
Like a weekend
at the old Globe in San Diego. So you've done a ton of these kinds of processes. Can you talk a little bit about how Ojai is different, and also this year Ojai is different than normal Ojai? So
it's a little bit sad that I don't get to go to beautiful Ojai. But that being said, I feel like I've gotten to know the community a bit, and it's obviously such a nice community and very welcoming. I mean, I'm yes, as you say, this is different than anything ever because of what we're going through. But I don't know. And we've talked about this, I think, but I loved how much space and there is between our phases, or our sort of presentations to the group, because it really allows for some, kind of deep thinking about the play and going back and forth. And in most of these workshops that I've done, they're a week or they're 2 weeks, and you have to put up a reading at the end. And you just feel like you're doing so many things at the same time. And I think with this process, like I said at the beginning, it's just been really focused, and finding some focus right now feels very unique.
Indeed. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, so this will be my, I can't remember, sixth or seventh summer. I mean, it would have been summer if we were to have done our original festival. So this process this year, I totally agree about the time and the space, just giving reflection time and the ability to really kind of let things gestate a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think it's generated, not just with your play, but I think with almost all the play, I mean, all the plays, it's
They've all
really,
changed a lot.
they've all changed a lot, and gotten
Mhm.
deeper and better. And there's an interesting multiple, because what we normally do is we do the one read in the library and people sort of weigh in, and then you don't hear from people again until after the final reading, whereas
Uh-huh.
this time you're getting a kind of multiplicity of views and feedback throughout. It's great. I mean, right, so it's just it's felt like a really deep process. So
Yeah,
just one, I guess I'll just throw one final question at you before we go. So just
sure.
curious, like, you know, uh, in the pandemic, like, is writing different now? I mean, are you thinking about, as you think about your next play, or are you like just in a day-to-day mode, or where are you as far as, like, the future of the theater in
I'd say all
pandemic?
of those things. I am very much in day-to-day mode. I mean, I think it's really hard to motivate to write for the theater right now, which is why, again, this has been really valuable because it's, given me deadlines and motivation. But yeah, we don't know when theaters are going to open. We don't know when they're going to start programming plays again, or what kinds of plays they're going to program. It is, it's demoralizing and sad. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I've been writing, I've been working on like commissions that I have due, and then on some TV stuff. But
And
yeah,
you
when you
did
sit back to,
one of the Audible, the Williamstown plays.
oh
You
yeah, we
recorded that on
recorded
Audible.
yeah, that was a fun thing to do this summer. That was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And that was which play?
Photograph 51.
Right. So that
Um,
must have been a cool process too.
it was a cool process, but all of this is surreal. I mean, so
Yeah.
even that process we did remotely, so no one was in a studio together. So we're really figuring out what the uh, abilities and limitations of this format are,
Right. Right.
and it's, I mean,
And
it's really
when
interesting.
when will that be? Do you know, Anna, when that will be available? The Audible recording
I
of those
don't know. I
Williamstown
think
plays?
sometime this year, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Well, and for me, I just to wrap up, I do think that one of the things that I've learned in the last couple of months is how I think theater is going to come out of this. We'll come out of it. I mean, the theater will survive, but I do think we're going to be changed in some interesting ways,
Yeah.
systemically, working condition wise, material that we do, and I think that the whole Zoom video component is going to stay with us, and I think potentially for the better. I mean, I think it's interesting to think of theater kind of pulling into the 21st century in a new way. So, we shall
Let's
see.
hope so.
But yeah, exactly. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. You're amazing.
No,
And again,
thank you, Casey.
this has been really incredible. And thanks to Ojai Playwrights Conference and Robert Egan and Mark Seldis and all the staff for bringing us together. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Ojai.
Thank you.